Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Queen's Table. I'm really excited about the guest tonight, but I must warn everybody that I have lost my voice at the weekend, so I'm going to try my okay. We have the amazing, and I love this lady so much, the lifestyle coach, Jessica Barclay. How are you?
Hello, guess who's back? Back again.
Oh, it is so good to see you. It really is. Yeah, like I say, I apologize. I'm a bit croaky tonight, but we will get through it. So, how have you been?
I was going to say, you've got the best guest, really, to have on when you've got a sore throat is the woman that has never met a word she doesn't like. It's like, I can fill it up. I can fill a little gap. It's all be fine. So I, I don't want to sit here and say I'm great because everyone does that, and I don't think it's very honest or genuine. So instead of going into the doom and gloom, what I'm going to say is my autobiography got a lot more interesting in the last 12 months.
I like the way you've worded that. That's absolutely incredible. And I just can't wait to talk to you about all this. That's really, really cool. So, where should we start then, Jess? I mean, you were the founder, you were the inventor of Pageant Land. You left it in our capable hands, but you have just done so amazing things for us. So, let's go back to your time in pageants. Let's start from the beginning and all the lessons you learned along the way. So, let's just start and hear your story.
Well, way back, many centuries ago, not long after the Bible began. No, um, I anyone who knows their musicals will know which one that one's from. It does feel like many centuries ago, a lifetime ago. My first pageant was like yeah, it feels like a million years ago. Well, it's coming 8 years now. So 2014 was when I first got into the UK pageant scene as a sort of an older member. I was just about did I get 2 years as a miss in the one I was in? And I think if I'd been in a different system, then I might have been able to stay as a miss for a little bit longer. But I was in my late 20s already, and it was something I never come around to. I'd been on a body journey and all this kind of thing, and I just wanted um I wanted something that would just keep me like going, keep me inspired on that journey of self-development and self-improvement. But I didn't at the time wanted to do any of the fitness extremes. And it was I found pageantry through looking at bodybuilding comps and just being like, it's not quite right for me. And then I found pageantry and it connected so much with other things that were important to me, community and charity. I don't know why I've always been. It sounds really weird to say I've always been into charity, but I have always been into charity. I mean, I grew up Church of England, and then ran away from my faith, but obviously certain elements of my faith stuck around, and I am back to being what I would qualify as a Christian. Church of England Christian now as well. And there's a lot of charity and community support built into that. And so there were quite a few values that pageantry reflected at me at the time that I thought, well, this is something I want to be a part of. And I did my first one, and then I said, that's it. I'm kind of glad I ticked it off and did it. Um, and then I got a bit more immersed. I met people at the event. I was seeing what they were doing, and it was actually I got selected to go to the Christie's award ceremony because I'd been the highest fundraiser at Galaxy that year. And so I got the evening at the Christie and with Arabella Normand, who was the Miss Galaxy International at the time, and Holly Pirrie, and they basically talked me into coming back in to do another year. And it escalated. Now I had a bit of a break over having my daughter, and I kind of, as much as I did like competing, I preferred the peripheral stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
prefer comparing. I've compared for a couple of pageants online and offline. I've done taught fitness rounds and things for pageants and done judging, and I've done all those kind of bits. And I definitely preferred those bits.
Mm-hmm.
But as we will get into more, I'm not really involved with pageantry anymore. I teach one. I do the fitness round for one pageant. Well, I did this past year for one pageant, and I did um, I compared for Atlantic, which was so hard to not tell you because I knew before you knew that you'd won. And I literally had to avoid you backstage because I was like, she's going to know, she's going to know, she's going to know. And I can't tell her. So I was literally like running around backstage to try and avoid anyone that I knew had won for the few minutes between me finding out and then me being on stage to tell people. But it's really hard when it's someone you like really care about, that you know, like I know everyone wants to win, but like I knew on a personal level how much it meant to you, so that was really
Yeah.
hard.
So,
But
yeah,
so
just
there's little
quick.
bits that I still do, but I did hand over the pageant land reins back to you.
Yeah. So I've just got to tell you this because there's people on here already going, we need you back on stage. And Nicola and
No.
Amber loads. Are you sure, Jess? Go on, we'll get you back on stage.
No, I don't see it in for the foreseeable chapters, like the next couple of chapters of my life of what I want to be doing and planned out. Now, for me, God may have a different idea, or like if you don't believe in God, like the universe may have a different idea, however you want to frame it. But for me, God may have a different idea. He's got it mapped out. And at the moment, I don't see that being part of my future. I very much want to continue comparing for Atlantic. I had the best time. I think that was probably like my single best pageant experience was comparing for Atlantic back in April. And I think that was a mixture of Romy, wonderful venue, amazing finalists that I got to teach workshops to the day before and then work with on the day as well. There was just it was like no, there was no drama. Well, there's no drama that I knew about, which is great. So there's no drama. I got fed at regular intervals. There was like Romy's like, there's a meal tonight, and I was like, oh great, there's food, and oh there's nibbles at like, oh there's food. So anyone that knows me will know that you feed me, you're pretty much golden. But also what really made that event so special was that I got a head mic like Britney Spears. And it wasn't so much that I got a Britney mic and I was like could wander around being like it's Britney. I'm not going to say the words because this is me, but it meant that I had my hands, I could move around on stage, I didn't need to worry where I'd left the mic, it was just there. And as long as I remember to unplug it when I went to the bathroom, because I'm always paranoid that someone is listening, then it was all fine. I absolutely loved having my head mic. But there was so much about Atlantic that was like this is where I'm happy being. If I am still doing things with pageantry, then that system supporting an amazing director and being able to be part of an amazing event, and it was just and it was just up. It was like only like an hour away from my house, which I don't like leaving my house, so that was another win.
That's another bonus for you, Jess, isn't it? It's not far.
Yeah.
Food and less travel, that's you done.
Oh, if I can be like barefooted or in my socks, then yeah. It's just like gold star after gold star. And I wasn't in my socks, but I was in flats because I had a long dress on, covering my feet, and there were so many stairs backstage, and I was all over the place when we were backstage and things. So it was great to be in flats.
I know flats and long dress is amazing. I must admit, when I've just done the Christmas lights this weekend, I had a very long dress on, but I actually had my trainers underneath. Because sometimes you just have to, don't you? I think people are missing out. You know, it's one of the most comfiest things in the world. Heels are too much work.
Definitely. Yeah.
So
I put some heels on actually on Sunday, and I could walk in them. They weren't very high. They're in like this bit, but I decided that it wasn't safe for me to drive in them.
Yeah, no. Driving's not good in heels. I can't be dealing with that, definitely. So you've got so many exciting things coming up at the moment, and one of them is you've got a new book. So can we talk about that? Because that is just incredible.
Oh, I don't know how I've done it, kind of. So I won't give you a full play-by-play of this year because it's been a little insane. But I moved out of London last summer. We are on the sort of first steps of getting towards our forever home, which I want to be a double-decker bus in the middle of the woods. My partner has vetoed the bus, but is game for the woods. So we'll baby steps. But we've moved out of London to where there is actually some woodland, which is helpful because we weren't going to be able to buy any of the royal parks. And he's got family near here as well, so we've moved out to family. And I started sort of moving back to, I've been like, I don't want to say I wasn't working prior, but I got into sort of the next phase with my daughter being that little bit older, that I was like, right, I want to grow my business again. I want to go back into making it bigger and leveling it up. And what are the next steps? I was predominantly doing like one-to-one coaching or small group coaching. Prior to lockdown, I'd pretty much always done word of mouth. So I didn't really have an online work presence. There was like a bit that I kind of did stuff with occasionally. But I didn't really have any of that. And I decided to rebrand at the beginning of lockdown. It was meant to be a 1 month thing, lasted all of lockdown. And then we moved out here and I was ready to take the next stages. And me being me, I just, it's all or nothing. Which is about the sort of time, those decisions that I stepped away from being part of the Pageantland team. And there was no like we didn't even do like a big reveal of me stepping away or anything like that. It was just, I feel like this chapter's finished and I'm turning the page and moving on to the next bit. It just didn't serve me anymore being in it. There were some things in it that I was struggling with and bits and pieces, but it just wasn't the right place for me to be anymore. And I thought, great, it's perfect time then to put more into growing my business and doing something more with that. Daughter's in full-time education, like she started last September, like not the September just been, the one before. So at the beginning of the year, finally, my goal, which has been on my long-term goals list for I do not know how long, of writing a book, made it onto my yearly list for 2022. And then the first couple of months hit and they were horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Amongst the joy of the beginning of 2022 for me was agoraphobia. Got diagnosed with agoraphobia. I thought that meant you just didn't leave your house, but actually it's not just that, it's what things you need when you are going out. So it might be that you are capable of leaving the house, but there might be other issues and stuff around it and stuff like that. But there were days where I actually wasn't willing or able to leave my house. So I kind of joke when I say I don't like leaving my house, but I'm also kind of very serious at the same time. So I had that to deal with. We had some stresses within the family. We're now trying to sell my mum's house. Like, she passed away at 15. I also went through some assessments and I've had final and like official diagnosis now for ADHD. And I'm in the last steps of getting diagnosed for autism as well, which is obviously quite a big thing at 35 to realize that your whole life you've been you thought you were running on Windows and now you've discovered you're running on like Mac, and you're running on completely different computer software to lots of people, but so much of it also does make sense. I, looking back, find friendships with people that are either neurodiverse themselves, which is autism, ADHD, OCD, hypersensitivity. There's like a collection of them that are neurodiversities. I either connect better with people who are neurodiverse, whether they know it or not yet, or people that have close relationships to those that are neurodiverse. So the only person that I'm still really properly friendly with from my secondary school is my friend Dave. He is godfather to my daughter, and his brother was autistic, or is autistic. He's still with us. His brother is autistic, and it was kind of like he knew how to handle me. And when I spoke to him about it, he was kind of just like, yeah, that makes sense. I was like, you could have told me earlier. And he was like, yeah, just didn't. So I've kind of been through all of that. Women present very differently to men as well, so it's harder to go through symptoms and traits, and we are, as females, taught so many different things that force us to cover up, more so than our male counterparts as well. So it's been a lot of unpicking what is learnt masking, what is my personality, what is autism, what is ADHD, like what is each of these things, then what is the agoraphobia and the panic attacks that I was dealing with as well. And all of this over the first couple of months. And I was just like, okay, so the book's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But I didn't want to let go. I teach goal setting. I teach time management. That's what I do for work. So I applied my own strategies to myself. And I was like, what is a step down from this that is still going to help me on the book journey, but isn't the pressure of trying to do this book? And I concluded I was going to do a planner instead. If you're into self-publishing, it might be referred to as a low content book. So where you have the different sections that you're going to fill out, but it's predominantly blank. Like even if you buy on Amazon and it says date at the top and then it has lines on the paper, that was what would be called a low content book. Right up to the ones that have all the different boxes that you do different things. It's 27 gratitudes and 4 things here and 5 things there, and what colour's your hair today and all that kind of stuff. Though that would be a planner or a low content book. So I was like, I'm going to do this because I'm going to learn how to format. I'm going to learn how to self-publish. I'm going to learn how to market it. I'm going to learn how to do cover design. I've done a lot of graphic design before. So I was going to learn how to do cover design and all those kind of things. And I would learn so much that would help me to eventually do my book, but it would take the pressure off with all the other things that were going on and that were just a lot to deal with. Lots to deal with. And me being me, of course, I took the pressure off and then did both. So I've ended up with a hybrid book. So it's got the coaching in, and had it just been a book on its own, it probably would have more coaching in. Had it been a planner on its own, I don't think it would have had any more planning things in, actually, that said. But it would have had more coaching in. But I ended up with, I've got a copy in front. This is my social media copy, like as in it's the one I fill out, but it's also the one I can gets beaten up on my desk. So it's a big bugger.
It's a huge
big bugger. I cried when the proofs arrived. I haven't got the proof copy in here, so you get these proofs ahead of time with like a big label like painted over it, so you can't sell them. And there were so many errors. Like when you if you're doing a book, always order the printed proof before you go live, because there were so many errors that when I had it proofread by about 5 or 6 people before it went to proof, and there was still loads of stuff missed, little things like the graphics had covered up the numbers at the bottom of the pages and stuff like that. But it's got all the coaching, it's got all the explanations for everything in it, but then it still has like the sections to fill out. So it's 12 months worth of planning sheets, as it were. So it's like a 12-month planner. It's got daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and then foundational activities to do with the sheets for you to fill out. But then it has the explanations in there. Because I found with a lot of planners, you have to go and look up on YouTube what they meant by this certain section, or how the sections interact with each other to get actually the benefit from it. And I didn't want that. I wanted people to be able to be like, this is one of the ladies that got it, which I think she was the first lady to get a copy. She's like, oh, it's like having Jess in my pocket. And I was like, is that a good thing? And she's like, yeah, it's a good thing. It's like having Jess in my pocket. She's like, well, in my handbag, because obviously, yeah, it's got a big book. It's the Jess in my handbag one.
Oh, must be so proud. What an achievement. It's what I'll do as well is, just to let everyone know that is watching, I will put a link to buy the book in the comments underneath the video, and I'll also share it on the Pageant Land page. So if you do want a link, if you're interested in this book, then I'll share you the link in a bit. So what gave you the inspiration to do it? How long
I just I want to say 7 years. Like it's because it's all my own concepts, and they're concepts that I started on with myself and then have taught as well for a number of years. I mean, when I started my current work Instagram, people are like, oh, is this your new business? And I was like, I've been doing this for quite some time. I just didn't have a social media presence. And I love social media. I did so much social media stuff with pageantry. But I think pre-pandemic, I just had word of mouth. I had like the networking events that I went to and stuff like that all fed into it. didn't need it. But between wanting to do a book, and I've got an online membership now as well, suddenly
Mm-hmm.
you need a bigger audience when you're not just working the one-to-one. So I did have to embrace the online side of things. It's a nice steep learning curve trying to do all the other elements to it. But they're all very fine-tuned. I mean, I am not naturally organized. So the front of the book, people always think I am. I'm not. It's all taught. And the front of the book says it's a simple planning and goal setting tools for the inept organizer. I am
Yeah.
the original inept organizer. I couldn't do it. I was late for everything. I forgot everything. Never had the right stuff. Like just chaotic. And then I became a wedding planner and had to. And
Yeah.
I was doing like 60 weddings a year plus other private dining events in my first career. And
Wow.
I had to be organized, but I didn't know how to do it. So it was all sort of like learn and trial and error. What things do I need to put in place to make the organization happen?
Yeah.
And then as life has got busier, I've adapted them. I think at one point I had 2 jobs and a business, and I was trying to buy another business and a sung in I was a Prince Charming and a pantomime at the same time, like all these things, and you kind of you have to. It was baptism of fire, and you learn them. But I found it really fascinating to go in and get very analytical with it. And like, how does this work? And why does this work? Why is this like? It's like the autistic side of my brain was just like, oh, this is fun. Let's really get into this. And it made me very, very happy. It's definitely it's my special interest. I think organization is my special interest. And so they've all been slowly fine tuned. So it's just the essentials. As nice as it would be to start the day every day writing down 47 things we're grateful for, the majority of us haven't got that kind of window of time.
Yeah.
We won't commit to it. It's not sustainable. It's not realistic. So like this one, I say start with one thing you're grateful for. Always start the day with gratitude. So it's like one thing you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
You score out of 10 your mental energy. You score out of 10 your physical energy, because I always think we need to check in with us before we respond to the outside world. And then you set your top 3 priorities for the day. Once you've got actually, I'm on full power. I've got 10 and 10 mental and physical energy today. I can get some of the harder things done. Or you go, I've got 2 out of 10 for mental energy today, and I've got about 1 out of 10 in physical energy. I'm going to do something I can do sat under my fluffy blanket in my home office today. And I think we don't check in with ourselves regularly enough when we are making these commitments to do all the things.
Yeah.
But my list started differently. Like I think at one point I had 10. Like, what are the 10 things we're going to do today? And now I'm like, 3. 3 is it. We set 3 priorities, and each of those can have up to 3 steps to complete them. But if they have more than 3 steps, then they're more than one priority. And people are like, how can you only do 3 things a day and get stuff done? I think that the problem is we don't register all the things that we are naturally doing. So we're naturally feeding ourselves. We're naturally like, for me, making the bed, because I can't not make the bed. It drives me nuts if I don't make the bed before I go, like leave my house. Like it can, if I'm staying in my house, it can stay like aired out. But as soon as I'm going to leave my house, it's like, if there's a burglar, they need to see my bed made with all the pillows on, all lined up neatly, please. So I'm like, it has to be done. But like brushing my teeth, feeding myself, tidying up the house, there's certain bits of my work that are just autopilot now. Sort of put the post out here and do this and like check in with this and check in with that. And like my client calls are for me not my top 3 priorities, because they're on my schedule, they're happening anyway. But what we would do is we forget that we've got all these things that are just naturally there, and then we go and set ourselves 272 things to do in that day on top of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we forget that we're trying to put it on top of everything else that's already there. I'm like, no. We just do 3. It's maximum of 3 things. It can be less, but it can't be more, and they need to be specific and tick-offable.
Yeah. But that's a really good idea, isn't it? Because you're not overloading yourself either. You just got realistic goals for the day. Because people do forget how much you're doing in the day with work and other things anyway, don't they? So it's a good sort of goal to set.
Yeah. It's so there's a lot, there's still a lot of hustle culture out there. There's a lot within, if you're anything to do with any kind of entrepreneurial group, or you've got a side business, or you work for yourself and stuff, there is such a toxic hustle culture in there. And what's really nice to see is the ADHD community are very much like, no, we don't do that here, because we physically can't, mentally can't, and we don't want to. And luckily now it's seeping out into everyone else and being like, hang on a minute, no, I don't want to hustle. It's not cool. It's like when people use busy as a brand of achievement, and I've spoken for years about, because there's a lot of people in pageantry that do this, and they'll use it as an excuse to be rude or unprofessional. Oh, they're just so busy. And it's like, someone's taken money from you or made a commitment. It's just, it doesn't fly with me at all. And I think we use it as this badge of honor. Oh, I'm just so busy. And it's like, it's not a badge of honor to be busy. Like, billionaires, that's not what they aspire to be busy. They aspire to have lots of free time. Like, that's the mark of success is actually having time to do everything you want to do. So if it's that you just don't want to do it, then don't say you're busy, just say I don't want to do it. What's the Phoebe in Friends is like, oh, I wish I could help you, but I don't want to.
Yeah. I remember that one. That's good. I like Phoebe. That. That's brilliant, isn't it?
I wish I could help, but I just don't want to do it.
But
and we should all embrace that. We should all embrace that. And yeah, and I think there's so much more. I mean, this was one of the things I was finding quite frustrating within pageantry, was people would commit to things and let people down because they were overcommitting, because there wasn't this culture of it being okay to say no, and okay to say I haven't got time, or okay to, it was this uphill battle of everyone was trying to get quantity of appearances or quantity of this and quantity of that, and the quality gets shoved out the window then. The majority of us have like other things going on in our lives. We can't do quality and quantity. And I find that I wasn't willing to let quality dip. But as a competitor, you have to be there with the quantity at the moment. And I know there was talk in the industry about changing that, and like it should be about quality, but no one was really putting their money where their mouth is and changing their rules and regulations, or a lot of people weren't putting the money where their mouth is and changing the rules and regulations within their system to actually make that happen. No one was actually doing anything to say, actually, we're not going to support quantity with no quality anymore. No one was willing to take a stand, and I felt like it was a lot of lip service, and it just didn't sit well with me. So I was like, it's not for me.
I think you do sort of learn that in pageantry though, like as in like with the quality over quantity thing, because I remember I used to go absolutely crazy with appearances, and I look back now and I can see that the quality wasn't as high. The last pageant I did, which I did take home the crown and I'm very grateful for, I just cut it back and made everything quality and just took a step back. And actually that works a lot better, and it makes your folder look more presentable. You know, you've got some really good quality things in there, and you are doing what you're meant to do. I think before you just say, oh, I'll do this, or I'll do this online thing, or this online thing, I'll chuck this on. And, you know, it does make it look a bit sort of not as full, not as good quality, and it really does make a difference. So I completely agree with what you're saying there. But as the systems go, I think they just look at sort of an all-rounder anyway, don't they, normally? So I don't know whether it's so much the amount of appearances you do anymore. I don't think it's really like that in a lot of systems. I just think it is about who you are as an all-rounder, as a whole person, I think. So, but I think
I've seen there are some systems that have put, I think particularly the newer ones that came into it and didn't have to change how they were doing anything. They just started doing it correctly. But I still think there's a lot that have been around a lot longer that haven't actually put anything out there to change the historical pattern of lots of things, and it's still very much, in a lot of systems, is very aspirational, do a load of whatevers. And then there was we should also everyone should support everyone, and I was just like, well, no. I don't believe everyone should support everyone, and I had quite strong opinions about it towards the end of being, because I'm very eco-friendly. I'm went vegan in the last few years as well, because I felt like I was being inauthentic to say I was eco-friendly, and yet I was contributing to one of like the biggest causes of climate change, which is the animal agriculture industry. I just felt like such a fraud and stopped doing it. And it was gradual, like it took time and stuff, but I've stuck with it because it's important to me, not just in pageantry but outside of it. Yeah, I was to support all women, I would still have to support those that are putting up Sheen halls and things like that, when Sheen is, it's well documented, the abuse of labour laws, the appalling work conditions, even the appalling quality of the garments that turn up, and the abuse of like micro influencers, and it's just a horrendous brand. Why would I support someone that was promoting them just because they were another woman in pageantry, or just because they were another human being? That for me was absolutely ridiculous, and it was just something I couldn't. And I did the system I was going to do my last pageant with. There was a girl in there that was promoting and kept tagging all the rest of the finalists in her posts, and I messaged and I said, you do know these brands that you're tagging us in, this is what they do. Like this, here's the facts about these brands, that you're promoting sisterhood and feminine and being a feminist, and these are all very anti-feminist brands that you're associating with, and I don't want to be attached to those. And she was so rude about it. I was just like, I've privately messaged you instead of publicly shaming you, or maybe I should have just publicly shamed you. But and I was like, you're meant to support all of everyone, and I was like, no, I'm not. It's not within my being. And I now know that's a very autistic thing. We are not good with injustice, and I really, really struggled with that for a long time. And now I'm like, oh great, it's cool, it's fine. It's part of my core soul is that I just can't deal with injustice. I can't. I just no. It makes my skin burn. So once I see it, I can't unsee it, and I have to do something about it. So yeah, it does make for an interesting ride in life, doesn't it? It's like it's hard to not when you can't like.
Yeah, you're being yourself, and that's what it's all about. You know, like at the end of the day, I'm a great believer you should always be yourself, whether you've got a learning disability, whether you're autistic. I mean, my husband got diagnosed with autism in his adulthood, and that answered a lot of questions. But if you don't agree with someone, or you're supporting a certain cause or something like that, you've just got to be yourself. And I think that's just the most important thing that people should realize, isn't it? You know, you don't have to support every single person if you don't believe in what they're doing. So, you know, it's fine. You know, it's absolutely fine. So,
and it's
I've got
funny because I think. Oh,
can you hear me? Sorry, you froze there.
I can hear you. I was gonna say, wait for a minute. No, I was just gonna say, because I think there's also a difference between supporting people that have different beliefs with you and being friends with them. Like I'm trying to think if anyone in my membership is vegan. I know a lot of them reduce their meat after meeting me, but I've got like the majority of my friends aren't vegan. I do have a few, a couple of vegan friends that were friends before when I wasn't vegan, and it was never kind of a problem. And it's really interesting to discuss people's side views. I'm not going to support I'm not going to like, or if someone only ever posted boohoo hauls on their social media, then I wouldn't follow that page because it's putting my name to supporting it. And I think we can vote with our money, with where we shop, we can vote with what we like, what we share, what we view, even on social media. So I don't even want that person's post popping up in my feed, because Facebook will be like, oh, this person, this has got lots of views, this must be good, and we're going to show it to more people. And I'm like, no, I don't want that boohoo rubbish being showed to everyone. No way. Thank you very much. And it's so I'm not afraid to like block, unfollow, hide from things. I can still be friends with someone on Facebook if I really want to, and just hide their posts so I don't have to support with my eyeballs or with my clicks or anything like that as well. But I've got people, members within my community that are very much, we have different viewpoints on things. So we are still friendly and kind to each other, but we don't have to necessarily support what the other person stands for. And I would never want anyone to follow along with me and feel like they had to support who I was, have to support what I represent, to be my friend. I think there's obviously deal breakers like in life as always, but I do have friends that don't have those same structures, same core beliefs or core values. I have friends that are from different religions, whereas I'm Christian, or they'll be atheist or agnostic. And I think you can have such a well mixed community without having to be supportive of things that you're just not comfortable with. And it's like I wouldn't stay friends, like deal breakers for me. I wouldn't say friends with someone who was sexist or someone who was racist. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But those two big, like, no, no, we are no longer in communication. Those things come up,
isn't it? You know, like I say, but people, you know, like, people are all different, but no, it's good that you just you're very focused, and you've just achieved such an incredible thing this year. And it feels to me like, I mean, we do speak outside of this anyway, but I feel like you've just come on so well and just really come out of like your shell, and like, as in, like, you just feel like you found yourself and you've written this book and everything's just slotted into place, because you have had a hard time, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. How do you feel about it? You're really excited about this book?
I still, every time I pick it up, I'm like, a book. Like I did a couple of Christmas fairs this past weekend, and people come up to the stall and like I talked to them, but what I really wanted to do was stand there and go, I wrote a book. It's like, it's here, it's an actual thing. I'm trying to do a hardcover version as well, but like the printing costs skyrocket and it gets a bit painful. But it was just, and like seeing it when it first went up on Amazon, and being like, and I think there's a couple of countries it's not available in, but it's available on most of the Amazon. So I definitely know it's international. I know I've got people in America that have bought it. I know I've got people in Germany that have bought it, and obviously people in the UK. I can't remember what other countries are showing up, but I go and look at the reports and I'm like, there are people like around the world that feel like I did, like the inept organizer, that have bought 1,000,001 planners before and filled out 4 pages and never carried on. I mean, that was the first decision when I was like, right, what do I want this to be? The first decision was that there would be no dates. So it just says dates. Oops, hit myself in the face. It just says dates, because one of the things that I found that I'd had, and speaking to people in the membership community, was a blank page shame. So you buy a planner, you fill out, like, there's like, this book belongs to, and if found, please phone this number, and these are my goals for the year, and we'd fill out all those first bits, and then we do the first week, and then we might miss a day, and then we might miss a week, and then we might miss a month. And because it was dated, it'd be like July 2020, and we missed July, we really struggled with starting again when we were ready to start again. And because there was this empty section that we couldn't use, and it was, for me, it was wasted paper, which obviously eco-nut hate. But it was like, taunted you like you'd failed because you'd left some pages blank in your planner. And I was like, I will have none of that in my planner. So it's like, is it in the book? Start on the next day. So while I'm very like, it's not a year's worth, it's 12 months worth, because you could spread those 12 months over 4 years if you really wanted to. Like, if it just doesn't go to plan, you need to make a change. Whatever, you could just carry on the next page, make it last 4 years, it's fine.
That's what's great about it. I mean, I can't wait to get my own copy. I'm going to be ordering my own copy, and like I say, anyone that's watching definitely has to. I'll pop the link in so they can also order themselves a copy. But I think it's a brilliant idea, because it isn't weird how us as humans, like, if you do miss that sort of month or a couple of weeks and there is that gap there, you do feel like you failed, don't you? And it's just like, but actually that's perfect, because there's no dates on there. You can just pick up from where you left off. And I think that's a really, really good part of this book and this planner. It's fabulous. What a good idea.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. It's It'll become one of my little
yeah.
mantras. It's one of my ones that I've nicked off Dory, but yes, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. It has. I mean, this year has felt one thing after another. We're at the beginning of November, so I keep mentioning the membership. So if anyone doesn't know, so I've got a membership where I've got courses and downloadables, and we have community, we have workshops, live workshops we do together and stuff. And we have a monthly one, and then I do all these additional ones in there. And November is about yearly goal setting. So we had 4 workshops at the beginning of the month, sort of step by step, taking you through the goal setting process. And then we have a 5th one on Sunday evening this week. And actually, it's still valid. I'll try and get it put in the things, but there's a month for free. There's a code for a free month in the membership at the moment as well. So I'll dig that out, and Dion can do her magic and put it in the notes afterwards. But it's only valid until the 30th of November because it was for the goal setting workshops. I think it's something like goal setting rocks, but I'll double check. And then so we're coming back together on the Sunday to like cement our goals down, write them down. People that have bought the planners, which I think most people have done the workshop, have bought the planner now as well. And there's a section in there to write them in. And we're going to do that. We're going to put them into our digital to-do lists on the computers and stuff like that, and set deadlines for all the steps. But the first day of those, one of the exercises we did was you wrote the year in the middle, so 2022, put a pretty bubble around it because let's make things pretty, it's always fun. And then we took one colour pen and we had to write all our feelings from this past year. All the things that we'd felt. We put some music on and we wrote down all the things that we'd felt from this past year. And mine's now stuck up on my wall because I always do this in November, and I stick them up on what's on a wardrobe at the moment. Stick it up, and then I digest it throughout November and make my final decisions at the end of the month. And then that's what the workshop on Sunday is about. So it's still up here. So all of the orange things were, no, I like all the green things on my charts, all the feelings that I felt from this past year. And I think with the exception of maybe one, they are all would be the things that you would stereotypically call bad emotions. Frustrated, angry, scared, lost, isolated. I can't even, tired. I think variations of the word tired were up a lot. Trying to unmask a lifetime of masking is tiring. So there was a lot of tired in there. And then we took another colour pen. So we took another colour pen and then we wrote down all the things that we'd achieved this year. And it was really interesting to look at it and go, hang on, I've done so many cool things this year, despite all these bad emotions, all these bad periods. I mean, there was at least a couple of weeks where all I could do was drop my daughter off at school and then come back and hide under a blanket, and that was it. That was my life. And if I was lucky, I'd remember to eat, but usually it was my partner going, "I've made some lunch," and that was it. That was all that could be managed. And yet I've still done all these awesome things. I've still got the book out. The membership launched in March. The book launched in November. There's other stuff on there that I can't even read from a distance because my eyesight's terrible. But I was like, look what I can do in quote unquote a bad year. Like, I thought 2020 was pretty bad.
So you've
but it's like looking at the plans now for next year. And we did what are the emotions that we want to feel next year and build towards that. I think so often we start with what are the goals, what are the things that we want to achieve, and I'm like, no, we have to start with how do we want to feel next year. I don't want to feel tired. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I'm pacing my goals, or I'm setting realistic standards. And if I achieve all my goals by the end of June, instead of, it takes me 6 months instead of 12 months, I can go, okay, I'm going to have a rest, or I can go, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to add something in. But for me, I never add to my yearly goals. No. I will make something monthly. If I've achieved all my yearly goals early, I will do something that I can do within a month, but I won't make it any bigger, because otherwise we find if we add another, even if we achieve all our yearly goals by the end of April and we're like, oh great, I've got 8 months left, and we set another big goal and then we fail, or it doesn't happen. And fails and a whole conversation in itself. But I do like the word. I don't want to get rid of the word, but it's a whole conversation. But we don't get that amazing feeling, like even when when you write a weekly to-do list and you tick it all off.
Yeah.
So good when you're like, oh, so you imagine, and you've done that for your yearly goals, you've achieved all of your yearly goals and you feel amazing, and then you add to it, and so suddenly you haven't achieved them all anymore and you lose all of that amazing power. So I never add to your yearly goals.
Never.
Add a month.
Yeah.
You can add a monthly goal or a weekly goal or a daily goal, but I never add to my yearly goals once they're set. That's it. They're going to happen. I might adjust them down, but I will never raise them up. And I will achieve them and be like, yes, that year I achieved all my yearly goals. It doesn't matter when in the year I did it. I achieved all my yearly goals. I feel awesome. And then look, I did all these little monthly goals as well. That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice bonus.
I love that way of looking at stuff, because it's such, I mean, I'm terrible for doing that. I'm not like, yes, I've got these goals. And I mean, I must admit, I've just about to announce my goal that was the biggest one this year, but that's coming soon. But I'm really pleased with how it's gone this year. But I'm terrible. I need to stop doing that, because I will try and add stuff on. And you're quite right. That's a better way of doing it. This is why people have got to get this book, isn't it? I bet it's all in there. You explain everything.
It's all in there. All in there. And then with the membership is like, people have got access to me. I mean, it's a really cheap way of, I don't know the word cheap. It's a really financially viable way of getting yourself a life coach, because I'm a fully qualified life coach, among other things. So it's a good way of getting that, because it's only, I've got a Black Friday offer at the moment that has just started, sort of my like Black Friday Christmas. I've finally caved to doing a Black Friday offer. I've never done one before, but usually the membership is a monthly subscription, and it's only £12 a month anyway. But for like the Black Friday deal, I've done a yearly one, because I had a few people that wanted to buy a year's subscription for Christmas presents, and they didn't want a direct debit for someone's Christmas present being set up. So I said, oh, I'll do that. So you can actually, a year would be £144, but with the Black Friday offer that I've got going at the moment, it's £100 for the whole year. Or you can do the £12 monthly. And I'm doing it with like a digital voucher. So if people want to buy a year for someone, then they get a digital voucher. So you can do that anywhere in the world. There's international members in the membership community. And you can get your digital voucher, or there's a UK version, which is 125, which gets your yearly subscription, a printed voucher, and a book. And if it is going as a gift, I will gift wrap it so it can be sent directly to the person, and I'll put a handwritten note from the person in. So if somebody wants to do that as a gift, you can order it and you don't have to wait for it to arrive with you before you send it on. But I'm only doing that within the UK, and with all the postal strikes, I think I've set the cut-off date of being the 5th of December if it's with the physical book. If it's just the digital voucher, I think I've said the 23rd of December, because I can get those out fairly easily, and then people can send the PDF or print it at home and things and stuff too. So, but I've never done a Black Friday offer, and I was just like, go on then, let's have a bit of fun.
Black Friday's this week, isn't it? Is it this week? I'm sure.
I think I saw my first Black Friday offer in October.
Yeah,
I remember I put it in one of the business women work groups I'm in, and I was just like, hold on to your hats, ladies. I've just seen my first Black Friday offer of the year. Someone has already got one out there. And I was like, oh, it's like my Black Friday Christmas offer, but I've sort of started it on Black Friday, so close enough. I think some of them started last, and then they run up Black Friday, some run all the way over, but it's like the January sales that now start in November. It's just,
they start in November.
Another name for an offer, isn't it? It's another way to get us to spend money.
Yeah, definitely it is. So, but anyway, Jess, it's been absolutely incredible. My voice is really going now. But it's been absolutely incredible to have you on and talk about all this. It's been absolutely wonderful. I'm just going to tell everyone who is going to be next week before we disappear off. So next week on Queen's Table, we do have the lovely Romy Simpkins. She's National Director of Miss Intercontinental GB. I will pronounce that right. And she's going to tell us all about that new journey of being the UK director of that system. So that's going to be fabulous. So remember, again, obviously I'm going to put all the details of the links of Jess's book and all of the other links in, so you can follow her, you can buy the book, and you can do whatever you like. Order them all. Order it from everyone for Christmas. And it's been an absolute pleasure.
Shop small.
Yeah, shop small. Gotta be done.
Buy from small businesses. Don't buy from. It's really awkward though, because I do have, like, if you live near me, I have some physical books in stock, and obviously if you do the offer with the membership, I send the physical book myself. But otherwise, it's buying it. If you buy it through Amazon, because they print to order, which is often the only way that independent print publishers can do it. And so I'm like, shop small, but via Amazon.
Yeah. But this is the way of the world now, isn't it? But I always agree with that. You've always got to try and support local businesses, small businesses, because, you know, a lot of them went down, especially with the pandemic and everything, didn't they? And with the just changes to the way of the world these days, it's just so important to support each other's, like that, little businesses and things. So, but anyway, Jess, it's been an absolute pleasure. I could literally talk to you all night. Probably finish this now and still carry on talking, because I know what we're like. But thanks again from Pageant Land to all of us for coming on. I really appreciate it. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.